innovative re-engineering that I saw from Philip. We went yesterday from recycling south, which is presumably a problematic terminology, to recycling for development, which is more encompassing, more welcoming. So kudos. Now, job creation. I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about me and sort of weave it into my thoughts about the matter. So, for almost 4 or 5 years, I was regional manager for business development for Africa for a company called Radiometer. I worked Latin America first, did Asia, and then I fought to get Africa because clearly I saw potential. They made medical equipment. It's part of a big conglomerate that did weapon systems, that did water solutions, and obviously medical, like very specialized medical equipment and diagnostic equipment. And when I saw what we did, I knew for a fact that actually, if ever there was a market that needed it, was the markets in Africa, because a lot of people die for misdiagnosis. A lot of people die for stuff they should not die from, breathing, lack of oxygen. So I fought my way into the regional manager position for Africa. For 3.5 years, it was battle upon battle upon battle to do my job right. I cannot run Africa by sitting in a cushy office here in Copenhagen. I cannot go see my client once a year and thinking that they're going to wait for me, because every time I went to Africa, when I was waiting to meet the minister, there were 50 people sitting outside the door. I'd see him once, and then I'm gone for a year, but he's forgotten about me by midday, because he actually saw people physically, 50 different people. My phone call is now got African dollars. But management was not understanding. We looked at problems. Now, at the training yesterday, we said, we all have master degrees in problems. Let's sort out solutions. Let's not look at it as expenses. Let's look at it as capital investment. So I did that for a while, and then came contract renegotiation. I couldn't find my terms. But you know, that was neither here nor there. It was good for me to have worked for Diaspora. It's a very, very fantastic company. But for the longest time, from back when I was in the US, I was burning for Africa, burning for doing something in Africa, but I wasn't quite certain what. And I talk about Africa so much, my people say, listen, we're so sick and tired of hearing about this Africa thing. Everything is Africa with you. Don't tell me, show me. What are you gonna do next? So shut up. So when I got into this contract, I thought, you know what, it's as good a time as any to jump. So I started my own company, doing advisory work with companies trying to match investment with opportunity in Africa. But obviously you have to be strategic. So in a part of Africa that here in Denmark, we don't look at French-speaking Africa, Central Africa, which presumably is actually the richest part of Africa, bar none. No offense to anybody. Also, because given the size of the companies that we have in Denmark or in Scandinavia, given the ethos, the company culture, and it's small and medium enterprises, it's a much better fit in those markets. Because if, as a Danish company, I invest $1 million there, you better believe I'm gonna make certain I get my return on the investment, versus a gigantic multinational who comes in, buys it for parts, chop it up for parts, and then they have a different ambition. So it's tough going, but we're getting there, you know. And then you have facilities that actually would help companies sort of trying to get there. So, and as I traveled to Africa, I started noticing a huge dynamics. I'm like, oh my God. On the plane to, you name the destinations in Africa, one time I was going to Congo. I looked around, I'm like, I think I'm on the wrong plane. One black guy, me, everything else. Asian, both, Southeast Asian and Asian proper, like Chinese, and Muslim, and Caucasians. Right? So I looked and I was like, oh man, well, there's something going on here. And when you get on the ground, and if you go month over month, it is so dynamic. It's changing. The pioneers go to create jobs. I was at, the company Total, the old French oil company. So I was at the general manager or whatever. The guy, they called him back then Sarkozy #2, because you have Sarkozy and then this guy. So when Sarkozy needed money, he called this guy, the one that ran Total oil company. And we have barbecue, whatever, this sumptuous estate on the beach in my country. And I could not possibly even afford anything remotely near the area. And then I look over on the other side of the avenue, you know, the whole thing doesn't make sense. Sumptuous luxury here, nothing there, but everybody is busy. There's a hustle, busy. Because I went there after I'd been out of Africa for 30 years. So my working with Diaspora was some of the first times heading back into the continent. I wanted to, heading back into the continent. So when I went, I did my homework. We are all Western. Don't fool yourself. So I looked at all the stats and then whatever, I had my little apprehension, but I was driven by the fact that I wanted to go. So I'm like, well, where's the poverty that I keep hearing about? I'm thinking, there's something else going on here. There's these little numbers, the $2 per day bullshit that they give us, no offense. But then there's an informal organization that's happening that is neither controlled nor organized, so we don't know how much money is exchanging hands, but money is exchanging hands. Then I'm thinking, oh my goodness, in another 15 years, I'll be a foreigner in Africa. When I go back, could very well be Philip welcoming me. It's like, you need a visa to come into Congo. But I'm Congolese, not really Danish, you know, out. You want to get a gig? It's taken.